In this video I'm going to show you some of the common features that we saw in the previous video in Microsoft Word, except this time we're going to use Excel and add a few other features to this. So Excel's already launched, but I'm going to click on it, and if we look across the top here, of course there's still a title bar, there's still your minimize, maximize, restore, and close buttons in the upper right corner, and of course we still have tabs and we still have our groups. Remember, the groups are named. And in some of the bottom right corners of the groups, we still have our dialog box launcher. So that's all similar to Microsoft Word. As well as I told you earlier, there's always a status bar at the bottom of the Office window, so in this case Excel. And I told you that the status bar is always going to have some of the views and also a zoom slider bar. So there's a lot of similarity, so at least it's easier to transition from one application to the next. If we look at the File tab for a second, I'm going to click on it and show you that it's identical to Microsoft Word. So we still have a Save As option, of course, and of course we could browse to a location that we want to save our items to, or we could click on this PC. In this case, I'll click on this PC, and you can see that there's more options that recently used things that I've saved items to. Or you can also hit Browse, and if you hit Browse, it brings up the Save As dialog box. And in here, you can see on the left, if I scroll, it gives us, again, options to save our items to. So I like to save things to the desktop, and of course, I can give the file a name, just like we did in Word. Just note that Excel files are called workbooks, and that's why we have the name Book 1 here. So I'll just call this Excel file, and I'll hit save. And now when we go back into the Excel workbook, you can see on my title bar it says Excel file, and that's exactly like the same thing that we saw in Microsoft Word. So again, saving as is the same way in Excel as it is in Microsoft Word. Kind of going back to our tabs across the top, just notice that File is pretty much the same as Word. Home, we already see some differences because in Excel we're dealing with numbers, so we have these groups over here. Insert, whether you're in Word or Excel, are pretty close, except that the big thing you're going to have in Excel is a chart group. We still have page layout. Now we have something called formulas also in Excel. But the whole idea behind this first chapter is to understand that there's a lot of common features from one application to the next. For 1 second, I'm going to go back to the Home tab and just show you what a dialog box launcher looks like. So this time I'm going to go to the font group, and in the bottom right corner is my dialog box launcher. And you can see there's keyboard shortcuts, so that's true of any button that you hover over. If there's a keyboard shortcut, like for I, it'll tell you to italicize, you can hit Control I. So I'm going to go here and launch my dialog box launcher, and you can see it brings up, of course, a dialog box, and in this case for formatting cells there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tabs. What the dialog box does is it gives you more options or more things you can change in Excel in this case that you can't necessarily do at the group level, so up here in font for alignment.